It's late Friday night in the early 2000s, and you've had a long week. You sit down on the couch with the remote in your hand and turn on the TV. What's happening? Jonathan Ross's clear voice, his quick wit and cheeky humor, and contagious excitement that lit up the screen. Something about Ross makes him stand out, whether he's joking around with famous people from Hollywood, talking about obscure movies, or making people laugh with his crazy conversations. But who is Jonathan Ross really? How did he go from being a kid from East London who was good at making people laugh to becoming one of the most recognized faces in British TV and radio? What happened when he had Ray Winstone on his show to talk? Another big step forward has been reached. You're having a party, but it was going to happen anyway. They've been in business for 50 years. I've been a trained actor for 50 years. This story is full of ambition, debate, and of course lots of laughs. If you're even slightly interested in the worlds of TV, movies and comedies, you should stick around. Born in St. Pancras, London, on November 17, 1960, Jonathan Stephen Ross is an American. If you know about British culture, you may already know his last name. His mother Martha Ross was a famous actress, and his brother Paul Ross works as a reporter and TV host. You're no longer living with your parents, right? Yes, I have. Okay. How did that go for you? How did that event go? How was the new home? What's going on? It's been really awful. Jonathan didn't just want to work in show business, it was almost in his genes. But before he became famous, young Jonathan got his start in the entertainment business in a very strange way. Advertisements on TV. He was in an ad for Kellogg's Rice Krispies when he was only 10 years old, and then he was in an ad for Persil soap. Think about that. A TV star to be, pushing breakfast cereal before he was even a teen. Ross was exposed to show business early on, but he didn't go into it right away. He went to Norlington School for Boys, and then to Southampton College of Art to study. His next goal was to get a degree in modern European history at the School of Slavonic and East European Studies, which is now a part of University College London (UCL). In that case, before he was entertaining people with his quick wit, he was reading a lot of history. But he wasn't really interested in school. Ross started working behind the scenes in TV. After he finished school, he got a job as a reporter for the Channel 4 show Loose Talk. After that, he worked on other shows, such as the famous Soul Train, which later turned into Solid Soul. This is where things get interesting. Ross worked on Solid Soul and met Alan Mark, who was also a researcher. They quickly came up with an idea that would make Ross's life different for good. A talk show that airs late at night. We're sure you've heard of Late Night with David Letterman if you know anything about American TV. The US went crazy for that show's mix of comedy, interviews and pop culture. Ross and Mark wanted to do the same thing in the UK. So they worked with Jonathan Ross to make The Last Resort, which first aired on Channel 4 in 1987. It changed everything. The style of the show was edgy and strange, which British viewers had never really seen before. Ross wasn't like other hosts you might have seen. He was unexpected, didn't hold back, and was just plain funny. Ross became a big name in British culture after The Last Resort did so well. Ross and Mark took things to the next level when The Last Resort did well and started their own production company, Channel X. Ross was in charge in a way that most TV hosts could only dream of. He was both in the spotlight and in charge of everything going on behind the scenes. At this point, he worked on a lot of different projects, such as the cult documentary series The Very Strange Film Show, which introduced directors like Sam Raimi and Jackie Chan to British viewers. Ross was in an ad for Raimi's Evil Dead 2 as well. I don't know what else would be cooler than that TV crossed over. Jonathan Ross was famous all over by the early 1990s. He was in a lot of different shows. They believe it's over. To different kinds of shows, Saturday Zoo. Because he loved movies so much, he became the host of the BBC's film series in 1999, taking over from the famous Barry Norman. His job as host of the British Comedy Awards for more than a decade was one of the most important jobs of this time. He was great for a job because of his quick wit and off-the-cuff humor that likes things to be unpredictable. Ross made an unexpected choice in 1995, even though he was becoming more and more famous. He gave up his share of Channel X. Why? He said it was all about finding a good mix between work and life. He wanted to spend more time with his family. The two of them got married in 1988 and have 3 kids together. The rise to fame of Jonathan Ross in British media started around the year 1990. He started the cult film show Mondo Rosso in 1995. Here was one of the first times Ross's skill at combining pop culture with deep analysis became clear. His ability to connect with people through film, music and TV would later become the most important thing about his work. Ross became the host of movies in 1999, after the leaving of Barry Norman. This was an important moment in Ross's career because it marked his rise to fame as a popular TV personality. Ross's unique way of mixing humor and analysis made the show a hit, and he added his own style to the usual pattern of a movie review. During this time, Ross also made a number of cameos in movies. Notably, he played himself in the movie about the Spice Girls, Spice World in 1997, and did the character of Doris in Shrek 2 in 2004. Because he played himself on a made-up quiz show in Only Fools and Horses 2001, he became even more connected to British pop culture. Ross also did voice work for 2 episodes of the cartoon show Rex the Runt in 2001, to show off his speech acting skills. Besides that, he was in the pilot episode of Shooting Stars, which made British TV viewers like him even more. In 2001, he was the subject of the surprise special This Is Your Life, which praised his life and work. This was a big moment in his career. This was a nod to the fact that he was becoming more well-known on UK TV. Ross got his start in radio in 1987, when he filled in for Janice Long on BBC Radio 1. We would work with British radio for a long time after this. His Saturday morning show on BBC Radio 2 began in 1999, and became an important part of his work. Like his TV work, his radio show was full of interesting mix of humor, music and pop culture commentary. Those who listened to him love him. Ross was involved with radio in more ways than just the BBC though. He also did work for Virgin Radio and the now defunct commercial radio network Superstation. Chris Evans was his editor on Superstation. Ross learned more about the radio world through these events, which helped him expand his media skills. There will no longer be a Ross Saturday morning show on BBC Radio 2 after July 17, 2010. In 2014, he made a brief return to the station, stepping in for Steve Wright, and then again in 2015, showing his enduring popularity with audiences. Ross went back to BBC Radio 2 in 2016, a more regular basis to host a weekly art show, which shows how versatile he is as a presenter. The year 2001 marked a transformative time in Ross's career with the launch of Friday Night with Jonathan Ross on BBC One. The show, which ran for more than 10 years, became a mainstay of British TV. Ross's talk show style, which mixes interviews with famous people, comedy, and celebrity news, set the standard for late-night shows that came after. He was unmatched in his ability to get famous people to appear and make memorable moments, often by combining humor with real interest. Ross had an effect on more than just chat shows. In 2004, he showed a program about punk rock, which was one of his favorite topics. His deep love for music and culture was clear in the video. He also made a big splash on the F Word in 2005, where Gordon Ramsay taught him how to kill lobsters. He became known as one of Britain's most entertaining and unpredictable presenters because of how bold and often unpredictable he was on these shows. In 2005, Ross was made an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, which was one of his most important things, an OBE for his services to television. To celebrate, he played God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols on his BBC Radio 2 show, which was a very daring thing for him to do. Began showing Jonathan Ross's Asian Invasion in 2006. It was a 3-part documentary about the Asian film business, how much he loves Japanese culture. One of the main ideas behind the show was cartoons and video games. This led to the creation of Japanorama, a BBC 3 show that showed different parts of Japanese society. Ross became more valuable to reporters as his fame grew. At one point in 2006, BBC and other networks were competing to hire him. Ross finally renewed his deal with the BBC, but it was said that other networks had made higher offers. Ross was also the highest paid TV figure in Britain at this time, thanks to his new 3-year deal with the BBC worth an estimated £18 million. In 2008, Ray Winstone went on the popular Jonathan Ross show, where he had a fun and interesting chat with the host. It was funny, they told insider stories, and it was casual enough for the audience to feel like they were a part of the talk. If you haven't heard of Ray Winstone, he is one of the best and most versatile actors in the UK. He is best known for his parts in dark dramas like Beast and The Departed. His visit on the show wasn't just a normal chat with famous people, it was a chance for him to do something more about his work, his personal life, and what he thinks about the movie business. Jonathan Ross didn't waste any time getting into one of Winstone's most famous roles recently, his part in The Departed 2006, in which he played with Hollywood stars like Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. Ross couldn't help but make fun of Winstone's part in the movie, especially about a scene that stands out where Winstone shows his muscles. Anybody who has seen The Departed knows that Winstone's presence is just as powerful as his playing. Winstone's impressive arm strength was something Ross made sure to bring up, which made their talk more fun. Ross made fun of Winstone's body by saying, "Show me your arm." Winstone, always ready to go along with it. "Thank you." People really liked it. You could tell Winstone was used to being teased because he kept showing off his usual charm and wit. It became clear as the talk went on that this wasn't just another press conference for a big Hollywood movie. There was a lot of respect between these two workers, and their conversation was honest and fun. Ross also couldn't help but ask Winston about his part in the movie Indiana Jones.